What if I told you that ignoring her isn't enough? That silence alone won't make her chase you, but something far more powerful will? Most men think that cutting off contact is the key to making a woman regret losing them. They wait, they hope, but they fail to understand the deeper truth. Absence only creates desire if your presence once held value. This is where Stoicism separates the strong from the weak. A true Stoic doesn't play games. He becomes the game. While others obsess over whether she'll return, a Stoic transforms himself into someone she can't ignore. He doesn't wait for validation. He radiates unshakable confidence, purpose, and discipline. History's greatest leaders understood this. Marcus Aurelius didn't chase admiration, he embodied excellence. Epictetus didn't beg for recognition, he mastered himself. And because of that, people were drawn to them like gravity. Today, you're going to learn how to do the same. This isn't about tricks or manipulation, it's about reclaiming your power. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to make her chase you, not by seeking her attention, but by becoming the kind of man who commands it. Number 1. The harsh truth. Why no contact alone won't work. Most men believe that cutting off contact is the ultimate power move. They think that by disappearing, they will suddenly become more desirable. But here's the truth. Silence alone does nothing if you remain the same man she walked away from. No contact isn't about making her miss you. It's about forcing yourself to evolve. Imagine a man who disappears after a breakup but spends his time obsessing over whether she will reach out. He scrolls through her social media, replays past conversations, and waits for a sign that she regrets leaving. What has changed? Nothing. He's still emotionally chained to her, still reactive, still hoping for external validation. This is not power. This is stagnation. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, understood that control over one's emotions is the foundation of true strength. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." If your entire strategy revolves around making her chase you, you are still a slave to her actions. A Stoic does not wait. A Stoic builds. Consider a different man. Instead of wasting time hoping for a text, he redirects his energy. He works on his body, his mind, his ambitions. He immerses himself in his craft, creating a life so fulfilling that he forgets to wonder if she's watching. He doesn't need her attention because he is too consumed by his own growth. That's the man who becomes desirable. The mistake most people make is treating no contact as a game instead of a transformation. They think that ignoring someone will magically create attraction. But attraction isn't about absence, it's about presence. Who you are when you return, even if you never reach out again, is what truly determines whether she regrets leaving or moves on without a second thought. Think of Epictetus, the slave-turned philosopher. He was born into chains, yet he never let his circumstances define him. He didn't waste time longing for freedom. He focused on mastering his mind, making himself unbreakable. When he finally walked away from his old life, he wasn't just free, he was transformed. That's the essence of true no contact. Not withdrawal, but reinvention. So here's the reality. No contact alone won't bring her back. But the man you become during that time, that changes everything. If you spend these weeks or months sulking, she will feel nothing when she looks back. But if you emerge as a man she barely recognizes, stronger, wiser, more disciplined, that's when the dynamic shifts. Not because you ignored her, but because you no longer need her. The ultimate goal isn't to make her chase you. It's to become someone so powerful in his own right that being chased becomes irrelevant. And when that happens, she won't be able to ignore the change. Next, we dive into the secret weapon behind this transformation, the power of detachment and how Stoics control desire. Stay with me. Number 2, the power of detachment, how Stoics control desire. Desire is the enemy of power. The moment you crave something, whether it's love, attention, or validation, you give it control over you. And nothing repels a woman more than a man who needs her to feel whole. That's why Stoics mastered detachment. They understood that true strength comes not from getting what you want, but from being perfectly fine without it. Most men fail after no contact because they are still emotionally tethered. They wait, they hope, they overanalyze. Even in silence, their mind is screaming for a response. And that's the problem. She can sense it. Detachment isn't about pretending not to care. It's about genuinely not needing an outcome. When you stop obsessing over whether she'll come back, you regain your power. Seneca once wrote, "If you live in harmony with nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to opinion, you will never be rich." In other words, the man who chases external validation will always feel empty, while the man who controls his own mind will always be fulfilled. That is the essence of Stoic detachment. Imagine two men. One spends his time refreshing his messages, replaying memories, and strategizing ways to make her miss him. The other? He takes control. He masters his emotions, trains his body, builds his empire. He doesn't wait, he moves forward. And in doing so, he becomes the kind of man who naturally attracts. The difference? One is trapped in desire, the other is free. Detachment doesn't mean being cold or emotionless. It means recognizing that your happiness cannot depend on someone else's actions. It means understanding that love is a choice, not a necessity. A Stoic does not beg, plead, or manipulate. He stands firm, knowing that whatever happens, he remains whole. Think of Marcus Aurelius, an emperor burdened with endless responsibility. He never had the luxury of attachment. He couldn't afford to be ruled by his desires. Instead, he focused on what he could control: his thoughts, his actions, his discipline. And because of that, he remained unshaken even in the face of loss. You must do the same. Let go of the outcome. Accept that she may or may not return, and realize that it doesn't matter. What matters is who you become in the process. When you master detachment, you become dangerous, not because you're reckless, but because you're untouchable. And that's when everything changes. Next, we unlock the real secret to making her chase you, becoming the prize through self-sufficiency. Stay with me. Number 3, becoming the prize, mastering self-sufficiency. Most men chase. They overextend, overgive, and overinvest, believing that if they do enough, she will see their worth. But here's the truth. The moment you chase, you become lesser in her eyes. Women don't admire men who beg for attention. They admire men who command it without effort. And that's why self-sufficiency is the ultimate prize. A Stoic man never asks, "How can I make her want me?" He asks, "How can I become a man so powerful that she has no choice but to notice?" There's a reason Marcus Aurelius, a ruler of an empire, never wrote about impressing others. He understood that true influence comes from mastery of self, not seeking approval. Most men tie their self-worth to external validation. If she texts back, they feel high. If she pulls away, they spiral. This emotional dependence makes them weak, predictable, and easy to discard. But a man who is whole within himself, who has purpose, discipline, and direction, becomes irresistibly attractive, not just to women, but to the world. Imagine two men. One waits anxiously for a response, refreshing his phone, stuck in limbo. The other is too busy leveling up, physically, mentally, financially. The first man is replaceable. The second man, unforgettable. Why? Because he has become the prize. Seneca once said, "It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable." This means that the most attractive quality a man can possess is the ability to remain unmoved, self-reliant, and in control of his own destiny. He does not need her. He chooses. And choice is power. The harsh reality is that attraction is not about proving your worth. It's about embodying it. Women don't fall for men who tell them they are valuable. They fall for men who show them through their actions, mindset, and presence. So what does this mean for you? It means you stop waiting. You stop hoping. You stop making your happiness dependent on whether or not she returns. Instead, you build. You elevate. You make yourself so undeniably valuable that when she looks back, she realizes she lost something rare, and by then you won't even care. Next, we uncover the secret weapon of the truly powerful, emotional control. Why indifference is magnetic. Stay with me. Number 4. Emotional control. Why indifference is magnetic. Nothing is more powerful than a man who cannot be moved. A man who is unaffected, unshaken, and immune to emotional chaos commands respect, not just from women, but from the world. This is why indifference is so magnetic. It is not about acting like you don't care. It's about genuinely reaching a state where nothing outside of you dictates your inner peace. Most men sabotage themselves after no contact because they are still emotionally reactive. If she texts, they rush to respond. If she ignores them, they panic. Every action is dictated by her attention or lack of it. This is weakness. A Stoic understands that the true test of power is not how he reacts when things go his way, but how he holds himself when they don't. Epictetus, a former slave turned one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." In other words, no one can control you unless you allow them to. Women are instinctively drawn to men who remain centered, who do not react out of desperation, who move through life with unshakable purpose. Indifference creates attraction because it forces people to question their own value in your life. If a woman expects you to chase and you don't, she has no choice but to wonder why. This uncertainty creates curiosity, and curiosity fuels desire. The moment she realizes she no longer holds power over your emotions, the dynamic shifts. Think about the most admired figures in history: leaders, warriors, philosophers. They never begged for attention. They carried themselves with quiet confidence, focused on their mission, and as a result, the world followed them. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, never sought approval. He mastered his emotions and wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So how do you master emotional control? You train yourself to detach from outcomes. You understand that her attention does not define your worth. You remind yourself daily that nothing external, no text, no validation, no approval, can shake a man who knows who he is. And when you truly embody this mindset, you become irresistible. Because the ultimate paradox is this: the moment you stop caring whether she comes back is the moment she starts to. Next, we dive into a skill that makes you unforgettable. The art of presence, how to leave a lasting impression. Stay with me. Number 5. The art of presence, how to leave a lasting impression. Most men are forgettable. They come and go like the wind, leaving no impact, no depth, nothing worth remembering. And that's why they struggle, not just with women, but in life. A man who lacks presence is a man who is easily replaced. But a man who commands presence, he lingers in the mind long after he's gone. His words, his energy, his essence stay with people. And that's what makes him powerful. Presence isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the one who doesn't need to be. It's about carrying yourself with an energy that demands attention without begging for it. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoic emperors, ruled an empire, yet he never sought to impress. His presence alone commanded respect because it was built on self-mastery, wisdom, and quiet confidence. Women are drawn to presence because it signals strength. A man who is fully engaged in the moment, who listens deeply, who speaks with conviction, who moves with intention, is a man who is unforgettable. When you have true presence, your absence is felt. So, how do you cultivate this power? First, you become intentional with your words and actions. You eliminate insecurity and replace it with purpose. You stop fidgeting, over-explaining, or seeking approval. You embrace stillness, eye contact, and unwavering certainty in yourself. Second, you focus on mastery. Whether it's your craft, your body, or your mind, you build something that gives you a sense of purpose greater than fleeting attraction. When a man is consumed by his mission, he radiates an aura of quiet dominance, one that others cannot ignore. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Most men waste their presence by being distracted, anxious, or desperate for validation. But the rare man, the Stoic man, understands that every interaction, every moment is an opportunity to leave an impact. And here's the truth. When a man with presence walks away, his absence is felt more than another man's presence. That is the art of being unforgettable. Next, we dive into the foundation of true transformation, rebuilding your identity, growth over validation. Stay with me. Number 6. Rebuilding your identity, growth over validation. Most men live their lives chasing validation. Approval from women, admiration from peers, recognition from society. But here's the truth. A man who seeks validation will always be controlled by it. And nothing weakens you more than basing your worth on someone else's perception of you. Stoicism teaches that the foundation of strength is internal, not external. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." This is the core problem. Men place more value on how they are seen than who they actually are. They don't build themselves. They build a version of themselves they think others will like. When a relationship ends, most men scramble to prove their worth, posting on social media, subtly seeking reactions, hoping their absence will be noticed. But this is still validation seeking. A Stoic man does not rebuild himself for the sake of being seen. He rebuilds because growth is his duty. Rebuilding your identity means shifting your focus from external validation to internal evolution. It means asking, "Who do I want to become?" instead of, "How do I make her see my value?" It's about creating a life that excites you, not one designed to impress others. Seneca once said, "The greatest wealth is a poverty of desires." This means that the less you need from the world, the more powerful you become. When you detach from the need for validation, you free yourself to grow without limits. So how do you rebuild? You strip away everything that was dependent on someone else's approval and replace it with something unshakable. You develop discipline, purpose, and mastery. You create a version of yourself that stands tall, whether or not anyone is watching. And here's the paradox. When you truly stop seeking validation, you naturally become more respected, more attractive, and more powerful. Not because you tried to be, but because self-sufficiency is magnetic. Next, we uncover the ultimate shift, the inevitable return, why she will chase you. Stay with me. Number 7. The inevitable return, why she will chase you. The moment you stop chasing is the moment she starts to. This isn't manipulation, it's human nature. People value what they can't have. And nothing is more intriguing than a man who has outgrown the need for external validation. Most men get no contact completely wrong. They see it as a waiting game, a strategy to make her miss them. But waiting is still attachment. If you're checking your phone, hoping for a message, or plotting ways to trigger her emotions, you haven't really let go, and she can sense it. The key to making her return isn't silence, it's transformation. Women don't come back because they miss the old you. They return because they sense something has changed. A man who has grown, who has detached, who has stepped into his power, he becomes the kind of man they regret losing. The power of contrast. The biggest mistake men make is staying the same. If she left, it means she saw a version of you that was either too predictable, too needy, or too stagnant. She knew what to expect. But when you disappear and come back as a different man, one who is more disciplined, more confident, more in control, you create contrast. And contrast creates intrigue. Think about it. If she reaches out and sees that you're still the same, still stuck in the same patterns, still emotionally reactive, what reason does she have to feel differently? But if she sees a man who is unfazed, who has grown stronger, who no longer puts her on a pedestal, her perception shifts. She begins to wonder, did I make a mistake? Scarcity creates value. Stoicism teaches us that people don't appreciate what is always available. Seneca said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." The moment she realizes you are no longer emotionally tied to her, she starts to question everything. She thought she had time. She thought she could come back whenever she wanted. But now you are no longer waiting. Your energy has shifted. You have become scarce, and scarcity breeds value. The reason so many men fail is because they make themselves too accessible. They hover in the background hoping for a sign. But the man who disappears into his purpose, who focuses on his mission, his body, his mind, becomes the one she starts searching for. The psychological shift. Attraction isn't about convincing, it's about positioning. You do not need to prove your worth. You need to become so valuable that she questions why she ever let you go. Women are drawn to men who move forward. A man who is chasing is stagnant, stuck in the past, waiting for someone else to dictate his happiness. A man who is thriving, however, becomes a mystery. And mystery is powerful. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." The moment you fully embrace this, you shift the dynamic. You are no longer a man trying to win someone back. You are a man who is too busy winning in life. Why she will chase you. When a woman senses that you have truly moved on, not out of anger, not out of spite, but out of self-mastery, her perspective changes. She starts to wonder why you're no longer affected. She notices your absence, and in that absence, attraction is reborn. Because here's the paradox. When you needed her, she pulled away. When you stopped needing her, she started questioning why. But by then, you won't be waiting. You'll be too busy living, and that is why she will chase you. Number 8. The Stoic mindset, winning without attachment. Most men chase success, love, and approval with one fatal flaw. They are attached to the outcome. They believe that happiness comes when they get the girl, the money, or the recognition. But a Stoic understands a deeper truth. The moment you need something, you weaken your power over it. True mastery comes from winning without attachment. Detachment is power. The reason so many men suffer after a breakup, a rejection, or a failure is because they tie their identity to external results. They believe that if they lose a woman, they lose a part of themselves. But this is an illusion. Nothing external defines you unless you allow it to. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic emperors, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This means that control is not found in forcing outcomes, but in mastering your response to them. The more you detach from needing a result, the more effortlessly you attract it. Why attachment leads to loss. Think about the man who is desperate to win a woman back. He overtexts, over-apologizes, and overcompensates. His neediness repels her, because desperation signals weakness. Now think about the man who walks away, focuses on his growth, and lets go of expectations. He becomes more attractive not just to her but to the world. This applies to every area of life. A man obsessed with winning a deal often loses it because his emotions cloud his judgment. A fighter who swings wildly in desperation gets knocked out. But a man who remains calm, centered, and detached from winning moves with precision and control, and that is why he wins. The freedom of indifference. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free." And bravery in life comes from knowing that nothing outside of you can truly make or break you. When you let go of attachment, you move through the world with a different energy, one of quiet confidence. A man who doesn't need to win plays the game better. He takes more risks because he is not afraid of failure. He attracts people effortlessly because his self-worth is unshaken by their approval. This is why truly powerful men, leaders, warriors, philosophers, have always embraced detachment. How to win without attachment. Shift your focus. Stop obsessing over results. Focus on mastery, process, and self-improvement. Outcomes will follow naturally. Control your emotions. Reacting emotionally to wins or losses means you are still a slave to them. Learn to remain steady. Embody self-sufficiency. The less you need from others, the more they are drawn to you. Become the source of your own fulfillment. Accept what you cannot control. Let go of fear, rejection, or uncertainty. What is meant for you will come, and what isn't never mattered. The paradox is this. The moment you stop chasing, everything starts coming to you. This is the essence of the Stoic mindset. Winning not by force, but by letting go. At the core of Stoicism lies one undeniable truth. Your power comes not from what you chase, but from what you master. The moment you detach from outcomes, from the need for approval, from the fear of loss, you become untouchable. Women, success, and respect naturally flow toward the man who stands firm in his purpose, not the one desperately seeking them. As Marcus Aurelius said, receive without pride, let go without attachment. The Stoic man understands this. Winning is not about force, it's about control. Control over your emotions, your actions, and most importantly, your mind. When you let go of attachment, you stop living for others and start living for yourself. And that is the ultimate power. Now, I want to hear from you. What is one thing in your life that you need to detach from? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If you found value in this, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you're serious about mastering Stoicism in your relationships, watch this next video on the art of presence, how to leave a lasting impression. I'll see you there.